Hey everyone, I'm Tori Humphreys, a life coach, here to help creatives move from abstract ideas to concrete realities. So today our focus is on holiday lessons from Ebenezer Scrooge. As you all know, Christmas 2023 is right around the corner, and so are the demands of the season. And I was thinking about this novella by Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. And this has some spoiler alerts in it. So if you haven't heard about it and you want to wait, I encourage you probably to, scroll on something else, because I just want to share a few things about A Christmas Carol with you all. So the main character, Ebenezer Scrooge, he is a wealthy older man. He was a neglected child with a cruel father who grew to hate pretty much everyone around him, those who worked for him, the people that he met. He was just really cruel. And he decided to be stingy with his money and harsh towards others. So in this novella, he is visited by 3 ghosts who showed him how his past and his present decisions could lead to a very unfortunate outcome if he didn't change anything. So he made a conscious decision to turn his life around to have a better future. And we too go through hard experiences affecting how we see ourselves and how we treat others. So here are 3 things that we can learn from Ebenezer Scrooge. The first thing, slowing down. Now, in today's hustle and bustle, opportunities to fill your schedule are everywhere. But that doesn't mean that you have to tack on more. Scrooge spent his days counting his money and working ceaselessly out of fear rather than of purpose. So discover your own motives to determine if it will be worthwhile, so that you can avoid getting stuck like Scrooge did. Making a decision this year does not mean that you have to do the same thing next year. And the same thing for last year. If there are things that you've done in the past that are traditions, that does not mean that you have to do them, especially if it is just a pain to keep up with. So just discover, why you're doing it. If you're just doing it out of habit, maybe consider if that is enough to continue to do it. We experience so much pressure that it can make Christmas and New Year's unenjoyable because of the busyness. So look at your calendar for the next couple of months, even for the next year, and intentionally plan times to chill and relax. Maybe you have a screen-free weekend to reduce stress, or perhaps as parents, kid-free weekends and evenings don't come often. Maybe scheduling some time away from your kiddos. And we know that as parents that if we don't plan it, it doesn't happen. So consider that. And also one question I just want you guys to consider is, how might doing define you more than being this season? So that's my first principle, slowing down. We can definitely learn from that, from Scrooge. The second point I want to make is relinquish control. I believe that because Scrooge had many difficult trials growing up, he turned to money and he became greedy. I think that this was his attempt to control things that he couldn't. And the holiday season comes with so many difficult situations, like dealing with grief, endless urgent tasks, busy schedules, and of course, family drama. For those of you who know, holidays tend to bring family drama. Personally, I believe I can handle a lot of things by myself until I realize I can't, and it's generally too late and I've got so much going on. Overwhelm can creep up on us without us even knowing. So if we're not careful, little by little, the projects that we take on, the small projects, begin to become enormous burdens. We push through to please people and blindly follow traditions because we think we're capable of doing it all. But the proof is in the figgy pudding when we get sick, irritable, or unpleasant from the many things we decide to carry on our backs. Our attitudes may become unbearable, as was Scrooge's, because there is a disconnect between our mind and our bodies. Oftentimes we try to control because we want to avoid uneasy feelings. We ignore the choked back tears that would bring us comfort. We dismiss others' help that would provide an opportunity for connection and doing things a little bit different this year. But in our heads we're thinking, I don't want to do it differently because we have strong connections with things that have during Christmas time, traditions that we like, we associate with memories that we have. So it's difficult and it makes sense. When we grasp for control, we don't have room to hold much else. Become aware of the emotions that occur when hard circumstances arrive. Instead of attempting to alter a situation to minimize the discomfort, examine how experiencing disappointment and sadness is a normal and necessary part of life. One way I'm going to try and do that this year, I have not watched It's a Wonderful Life since I was a kid, and I don't really remember anything of it. So I plan on watching that. I've avoided it because I know it's a sad movie. I've actually avoided lots of sad things, and so I'm planning on entering into sad movies because grief and sadness and disappointment are a natural part of life, and so I'm going to embrace that. So I will be watching that movie this year. And I invite you to exchange control for peace and joy by accepting life's unexpected twists and turns. So, yes, you watch It's a Wonderful Life every year. So I will let you know how it is because I'm excited. I don't remember what it's about. So, yeah. So the last thing that I want to share from Ebenezer Scrooge, a lesson, is forgiveness. Now, honestly, this one I think is the most difficult one, especially since there's a lot of complex situations and ways in which we've been hurt by other people. But also forgiveness it's important. And for Scrooge, it wasn't his life circumstances that drove him to become resentful of others, not the circumstances themselves. Instead, it was how he chose to respond to those circumstances. He held on to his anger and sadness without addressing it. Now, anger and sadness, there's nothing wrong with being angry or sad. But what can happen is when we don't address it, we can hold it in our bodies and become resentful. And we want the other party to make up for it. But holding on to hurt without resolution can create more tension, resentment, and can even cause health issues. So this is my definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the ability to acknowledge that people are going to hurt you, just like we hurt others. Forgiveness is releasing the desire to know why someone else hurt you. And forgiveness is initiating your healing process, which means that we're creating an atmosphere where we value both ourselves and others. Forgiveness, however, does not mean that you cast your boundaries to the side or you allow yourself to be mistreated over and over again like you're a doormat. Anger and frustration are indications that one of your values has not been honored. So discover what value has been offended and how it can be honored. One way might be asking the other party to, giving them something that would make amends in the future, if this is applicable. It's not always applicable. Now, if they are unable to, if you're unable to make amends, or if they do not honor it, consider how you can value your own value, even when others do not. So just something to think about. So in order to deal with the anger and frustration, if someone has wronged you and for whatever reason it's not going to be made up, how can you respect yourself and honor that value within yourself? Having a solid community can help you view a situation more realistically as well. And forgiveness can look different depending on the severity of the offense. Things are not just all clear cut. They can be very complex. If you are struggling to forgive, respect your values, or even forgiving yourself, consider finding a therapist who can help guide you through deep-seated wounds that have yet to be healed. And in general, when it comes to just these 3 different lessons of being able to slow down, relinquish control, and forgive, I encourage you to observe when you find yourself reacting to situations rather than responding to them. What's a reaction compared to a response? A reaction is when something happens to us and we respond in the same way that we always have automatically. It just happens automatically. Maybe it's a fight or flight, but it just happens. And responding to a situation, however, is when we see how we've reacted in the past and we try to make a conscious decision to intentionally show up a particular way. Now, this is easier said than done, of course, and it may also require the help of a therapist and or medication in order to change and create new pathways in our brain to respond differently. So, but just keep those things in mind, and even planning to respond differently can be of benefit for us for this holiday season. So yeah, that's all that I have for us today. Just take some time to reflect this Christmas season on how implementing slowing down, relinquishing control, and forgiving may be applicable to you so that you can care for yourself and those around you. And consider these 3 principles as a visit from the ghosts of Christmas, prompting you to a more fulfilled life. Thanks for watching Friday Night Live at 4:05. If you're ready to step into your dreams but need additional help, let's create a plan together. Just message or email me to set up a time to talk. And as always, remember that your worth isn't measured by likes, comments, or Zelle payments. Your value is immeasurable regardless of what lies ahead of you. All right, see you guys next time.